Good morning YouTube and welcome back to Outsiders. We left the first video where we were going to talk about multi-classing. Already had a problem with my video already, so it's another problem I've got to try and solve. So that the 10-minute video that I did for a second one is not taken either, so I've had to come back and do it again. So I'm really having problems at the moment, so apologies. But try to keep this video short, precise and keep it moving. But multi-classing really seems to be working in this edition. There's no official rules yet. It's reading between the lines as a GM, but it really looks like it might work, and I think it opens up a whole plethora of options for players that are incredibly exciting. And it's the little combinations of the characters that really shine through in this edition and how they'll actually interplay with one another, which for me really makes it, and it's probably the most exciting addition piece so far that I've really liked. And in play it worked very well, because when we saw it play tested, we had a cleric behind a fighter, a cleric who had a defender theme and a fighter who had a slayer theme, and the fighter is the only one that they give in the little document. But it was really good because the cleric was able to give the fighter a defensive edge that he wouldn't necessarily have, and the attack, anybody in the bottleneck of a 5-foot corridor trying to attack the fighter was at a disadvantage because the cleric putting them off with his shield and stuff and helping the fighter defend. That was really interesting and added a new element to teamwork, which I really liked, and I can see that throughout this edition it's going to be there. So all these little things were excellent, and equally, you know, if you've got a couple of fighters, I call them bookends, but you've got a couple of fighters together who have got theme Slayer, and it's the only one we've got, but they're doing, you know, a guarantee, even if they miss, they're still going to actually do a certain amount of damage based off their stat. That's pretty significant, because that in its definition means that people are going to fall over pretty quick. So it added a different element to the game. Now, I'm not completely sure on the Slayer theme, because I had some concerns about that theme in terms of, from a DMing point of view, of let's assume that the players are not just running up against bestiary creatures, but let's assume that they're running up against humans, similar to themselves. And as a GM, I've got 3 people who are able to get 3 squares in front of a fighter, all with the Slayer theme. Well, that means they're going to do a minimum of what, in this case, is exactly the same, built the same way, they'll be doing 9 points guaranteed damage on a miss on that fighter. That's pretty significant. So I wasn't really sure on that bit whether that's you know, needs a little bit of work or not. But I like the premise of it. It gives the fighter an interesting edge, and combined with some other things, it's certainly something I wouldn't totally dismiss here and now. I think there's certainly merit to it. And you can lump in the other character classes. All of them are interesting. The rogue look really good. The clerics look interesting. I was very impressed with the way they've rewritten the wording of the spells. This was missed by a lot of people so far. Little things that are really excellent, that really got my players thinking. So a good example was Magic Missile, the way it's been rewritten. Yeah, you know, it will do the usual amount of damage, but it says you have to have an unobstructed path to the attacker to actually, the person you want to hit, you have to have an unobstructed path to them to actually hit them. That's a huge change. That totally changes the dynamic of Magic Missile entirely in combat, making it much more difficult. I mean, the wizard will have to manoeuvre to certain positions to get off that spell, to get a straight line or an attack line on somebody. I like that. I like that a lot. It's really different. Because if you're going to give somebody an at-will ability, you better make sure that it's fairly balanced. And I think they've done a good job of balancing those. So I really like the feel of what we're seeing so far from D&D Next. I know my players will, and that's the most important thing. And I know that I am. So with those things combined, it's excellent. Now, what I think Wizards have got to do, I've said this before in my videos, is I know that they're going to tweak the system, and that's fantastic. You know, get the system as good as you can for the majority of the players who are going to be coming on board with you. But I think the most important thing is to try and take into D&D Next some of the things you did well with 4th. Now, I'm not a huge 4th edition fan, as you probably saw from the first video. It's not my sort of cup of tea, but there were certain things they did on their website that were very good. You know, having a character creator, it's a very good idea. I think you need to have, Wizards should embrace what's out there. So using the YouTube community for tips and videos and various other things, you link those, definitely link fan content to what's going on and encourage other players to join in and do the same. Is going to be really important to a successful launch of the system. I'm hearing reports that they're going to go live in 2013. I hope that they have a 2-year playtest here, for a lot of reasons. They do seem to have an ambitious timeline in terms of getting the next packet of information out there to players in July. I'm hearing early July. Well, we'll see. You know, see what comes. As soon as we get any more updates, and as soon as we do any more playtesting, we'll let you know what happens. But so far, so good. But it's an exciting addition. I really can't tell you more than that. I mean, I'm very stoked about it. I'm very interested. I think it does a lot of things really well. I'm not, I don't have as many concerns as other people about a couple of factors. I mean, I saw a lot of debate around forum boards regarding, short rest and long rest problems. But for me, I thought that was actually okay, and in play it seemed to be okay as well, in that it's more difficult to long rest because, you've got to remember, a first level group hasn't got the resources, so actually if you can rest overnight and get 8 hours of good sleep and get your hit points back, it's only an abstraction of numbers. It's only about, are you fit and able to carry on? It's a game. Let's not get brought into the realism here. We want to play realism. There are enough RPG systems out there that can give you realism, but let's be honest, your characters won't last very long. This is a game with friends around a table where you as a GM can challenge them, and in an intellectual and interesting way you can challenge them. I'm not really worried if some of the things don't make 100% sense. At the end of the day, let's not lose sight of the fact we're there to have fun, and if a couple of things have to bend to allow that to happen, the sum of the parts can sometimes be greater than the whole. So let's, come on. Let's not worry too much about little things. Yeah, it could be tweaked, it could be better, but I liked it. Personally, I thought it was okay. I mean, long rest is difficult to do in my games, so it meant the players had to rely on short rest, and you only get those a limited time based on your hit die. So, for me, it's a great win-win. So I didn't mind it at all. I thought it was brilliant. It was very nice to keep the players on their edge for a couple of days with another encounter at night time, with them not able to rest and only getting a short rest the next day. I liked the tension and stuff that created. It was fantastic. So no, I don't really have any complaints about it. I think you've got to read the spells. I think that's another problem that people have had so far. They haven't read them. They're just assuming it's the same as before, and clearly it isn't. So again, I would say that you have to go back to basics here and start looking at, read the books carefully through, and you can go through and see the differences when you're actually out in the playtest field, because that's going to make all the difference. Reading it's one thing, playtesting it is another. So just bear those things in mind. Can't really comment too much. I'm not going to break the book down in any way, shape or form, because I think other people have done that already, so there's no point in me commenting that. We're coming towards the end of the second video, but needless to say, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's the right direction. I think it's an addition my players will embrace. It's certainly an addition I'm going to definitely give it the support that I think it deserves and needs. And I think it's important that we have an edition that is more in tune with, if all the stuff we ever do continues on this path of crunchiness and rules to the degree where Pathfinder is at the moment. And I don't mean Pathfinder in any disrespect here, because I play Pathfinder as well, but what I mean is if you've got your rules light on one side of the scale and your rules heavy on the other side of the scale, that doesn't mean just because all the rules are covered in a book that it's absolutely fantastic. Far from it. And having an edition like this that gives you more creativity as a GM and allows you to think outside the box and how you're going to use these various little mechanics in your game to do things is brilliant. And you can see how their mindset is going, and it's not that difficult to transport into your game. So for me, it's a big thumbs up, and I'm very excited about the future of D&D at the moment. I'm massively looking forward to the next stuff that comes out. So, if you're a anti D&D person through and through, and you reach the end of video 2 and are absolutely piddled off to the max that someone really likes it, then I'm sorry, but I do. I really enjoyed it, and if it's not for you, it's pretty simple. You can vote with your feet. You don't have to sign up or anything. My advice is, if you don't like it, get out of the kitchen, sort of thing. There's no point being on the forum boards if you're not going to actually contribute towards putting things that you don't like right. If you've got something you don't like, have a suggestion about what you think they could do to do it better. So my view is simple. I'm going to get behind it. I'm going to embrace it as best I can and look forward to the next steps, and we'll see what the next evolutionary bits bring. Now, it could be over a year or so I get to a point and I don't like it, and I'll be the first to tell you that. But at the moment, from what I saw in the small amount of information we had and what I could glean between the lines, it was a good fit for me as a GM right now, and something I really wanted. I wanted to see a change of pace from the norm, from the crunchy, moving away from that to a system that allowed me more creativity and freedom to form the game, and gave the players back some empowerment in a unique way, which I really liked, and allowed them to be thinking in terms of tactics team-wise as well as board-wise. That I liked. So from me, Sean Connors, this has been Outsiders, a little couple of videos on D&D Next. Till the next time, take care of yourselves and happy gaming. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.